Hello and welcome back to the day after that win against Arsenal. Oh man, it still feels amazing. What an incredible game that was. I've been thinking about that Cunha finish, the dance, the Dorgu strike for hours and hours. I just can't stop replaying it in my head. I'm almost scared that that was the peak of our season and we won't see anything that beautiful again. You know how you don't know you're in the good times till later? What if, guys, this could be the good times? This could be the good times. We might be in the good times. We genuinely might be in the good times right now. This might be it. In fact, we should maybe not overlook these moments because these might be the good times. You never know what the future is going to be like at United, as we've seen based on the past. Palmer. But yeah, look, I mean, a lot of stuff to talk about today. I want to talk about, the game. I want to talk about this Palmer news. I want to talk about some of the progress that we've been seeing in many different areas, including the cooking. 5 stars kitchen finally restored to a top safety and cleanliness rating at Old Trafford. Huge victories off the pitch. Talk about Palmer, whether that is a deal that could happen. Talk about Kobbie. Talk about a few other things as well. And it'll be a busy day. So, yeah, that's what I want to get into. We'll start with Kobbie, because obviously, you know, elephant in the room here. Kobbie Mainoo covering the most ground over the span of these 2 games since he's been starting, which is excellent. Very, very impressive work rate. And I covered it in the tactical video from this morning as well, kind of going over it. And how many likes for you to dance like Cunha? 200, Naveen. Somebody put that in the chat. 200, and we'll do the Cunha dance on here, okay? We'll see if we can build up to that. But I covered it on the tactical video from earlier because I rewatched the game a few times, and I wish I could show clips, but Kobbie's problem for sure, never ever been work rate, running in terms of covering ground, all that kind of stuff. I remember during Ten Hag's second season, we might have
got a good chance with Anderson's.
You think, Jason?
Face emoji.
You think? You'll have to keep us informed on that, because that's going to be our top target. It should be too. During, I think, Ten Hag's second season, it was. No. Sorry, it was last season. Kobbie was partnered up with, I want to say it was Casemiro or maybe it was Eriksson. It was Eriksson deep a lot of time to start the year off. And I remember that based on the stats, Kobbie Mainoo was doing the most defensive work in all of England at the time. And I remember going at that time and saying, this is bad. Not Kobbie is bad, but bad in terms of the setup, because I looked at it and I said, I don't think that Kobbie should be doing all of the defensive work. I don't think that it's the best use of Kobbie's capabilities to do all the defensive work, but he was doing it. If you could ever find a clip of me saying that Kobbie is lazy, I will 100% apologize straight up without any excuse, because that would be a complete lie and completely wrong. But I don't think I've ever said that. Kobbie works really hard. When I did the tactics video this morning and I rewatched it a couple of times, he was running like hell. But it was rough. The first 30, 38 minutes, something like that, was rough. The way that Arsenal were moving around, the way that Declan Rice was darting in and out, it was very obvious that physically and athletically they were outworking us and outcompeting us in the midfield just by nature of natural qualities. You know what I mean? That's just the reality of it that we were at. And what Kobbie is doing is running his ass off and working his ass off. And I had these clips showing where he's going up around and like going all over the place trying to chase him, but he's trying to mark 3 players at that point in time because of the way Arsenal are doing it. And someone made a comment, I don't remember if it was in Discord or in a comment afterwards, talking about how, like with Arsenal, Zubamendi's not more athletic than Kobbie, and that's totally true. And I've talked about that in the past as well. The problem we've had at United, and we touched on this in before the game, is that we have not had at this club those athletic animals to back up a player like Kobbie Mainoo. So we're asking him to do the job. And he'll run, but I'm talking about that explosive, highly physical, defensive athlete that we don't have. And we don't have it, like, if you look at center backs, we it's kind of the same issue. Like, we've got Maguire, Lissandro. They're not the most explosive athletes. So we end up in the situation when we do end up on the run, we're getting outrun, going backwards. And there was one moment that I highlighted in the tactical video, like, I don't know if it was 25 minutes in, where we pressed all the way up to the keeper and the donut reappeared. Ball came out to Maguire. There was 3 second balls, one by Arsenal in the middle before our midfield was able to get back. It's just, we need that big athlete. So what I said about Kobbie in that he can't run, well, there was context to it, but regardless, forget all of that. Poorly stated. For Ruben Amram's ask of a very highly athletic, explosive midfielder, he didn't pick Kobbie. But clearly what Kobbie has shown in these couple of games, and has shown in the past, but what he's clearly shown in these couple of games is that the biggest mistake was from Amram, which was really unfortunate because it was so stupid, such a stupid thing to do, because I think he would have had us playing a lot better football, was not looking to, like, maybe the word is platform him, but not looking to figure out how to get him into the team and make adjustments to cover for some of that. Because frankly, it's not like Bruno and Casemiro were that athletic either in terms of running back. And that's why for a lot of games, I was asking for Kobbie to start. But yeah, he's been running his ass off. And I think that we're still going to encounter a problem here moving forward in the games where we go against a low block, because we don't have the coverage. We don't have that player. I'm almost curious to see if Carrick will change it and go with someone like Ugarte in games where we have to be up the pitch higher and face low blocks and face a lot more counters specifically to cover for it. We'll see. I don't know. I'm just saying we're still lacking that. We're definitely still lacking that. And at the end of the day, I think he dealt with it poorly and should have done a lot more. I've said many times that I thought the biggest mistake Amram made was some of the weird selection things that he did, not utilizing players like that. And but I backed it, and I think it was wrong. I think the whole thing was wrong. I think, after the cleaning house in summer, I was all in on the idea of, he's got his spot on. Garnacho, Anthony, the situation there in cleaning house and really building the club. I think he just got it wrong with Kobbie. Because there was never like a lazy or like anything like that with Kobbie. It just became personal. I still don't like the amount of noise his agent makes, but I don't think that the coach should be necessarily, punishing a player for things like that. And kind of a shame, but obviously what Kobbie's showing in these games is that Amram was just wrong. Kind of like Ahmad, similar to Ahmad, people brought up before. Ahmad under Ten Hag, where you just didn't like him and ended up not using him, and clearly showed he should have done more to fit Ahmad into the team. And Amram should have done a lot more to get Kobbie into the team and playing and utilized him. So yeah, he blew it, bottled it, and that's what you get. Unfortunately. So we gotta take our licks and admit when we're wrong, and I definitely, I think, wrong for backing Ruben Amram over that situation in particular because he got it wrong. And it was to our detriment as a team. And that's unfortunate. But we move on now. And now we will see, now we're getting a better future. And I hope that Carrick keeps it going and continues to work on it. And I think Fulham's going to be a really interesting game in that respect. Correct. Ruben should have been the mature one. He should have figured it out. He just should have figured it out. And he didn't. And that's it. That's it. Dalo Manin, welcome back. Welcome to the Pro Muppet. Thank you for joining. And again, for the members there, that members video, I did cover it a bit more full why my perspective on this changed as I got more details and updated my worldview on things, as you should when you encounter new information. That's the way to be mature.
Got to see it live. If we get to UCL, what's a realistic budget? And is Anderson plus Bale possible? And who do you think LW likely?
I tell you what, Tubbs, I forgot that you're an Arsenal season ticket holder. I forgot about that. But there you go. I was asking for you yesterday, but you're owning the Cunha take, just like I'm owning that. So, yeah, it was impressive. If we get Champions League, what's a realistic budget? I think 250 million, probably. Is Anderson plus Baleba possible? I think so. Yes, I do think so. And who do you think left wing likely? Left wing likely. I still think if we're going to get somebody, Njai, maybe. There was still Malik Fofana, who we liked.
What I did today for my Arsenal cocky colleagues is unforgettable. Cool face emoji, but damn if we lose the next game. Smiley face emoji.
Yeah, hopefully we don't lose the next game. But yeah, look, give it to the Arsenal fans today. No doubt about that. Give it to the Arsenal fans today. No, I think Njai, I'm trying to think of the name. Njai, Malik Fofana, Diomande, these are names that have been on our list for sure. Those are some of the main ones. I still think Njai might end up being the best option here. I think he was one of the main options after Semenyo and Prem proven and all of that as well. So yeah, what I think is anyway, to settle on all of that and to settle up, obviously Kobbie Mainoo can run. I think I look at him in a comparison to a player like, I'll give you an example here. I pulled the stats on this because another player that I think is really similar and another player where for a while when we protected him well, it worked. And that was Christian Eriksen. So Christian Eriksen, I remember this from a few seasons back. Christian Eriksen had 4 of the highest distances in the entire Premier League for distance running. He, ran, I think, our highest average distance every time. And he was I remember there was a point at one point where Christian Eriksen was our best runner in terms of average distance covered, total distance covered, things like that. And I look at that and I see that as pretty much the same in terms of Kobbie Mainoo. Top stamina, but you wouldn't call Eriksen an explosive runner or a fast runner. And you certainly wouldn't say he's somebody that you'd want going back doing all the defensive work. When we had Casemiro, when he first arrived, and he was fit and running and all of that, and he was able to do the defensive work next to Eriksen, that was one of our best midfield partnerships. It just lasted such a short time. And we need that. And we need that now. Same thing. We need that now for Kobbie. We need that same idea because he's got the stamina, the endurance, obviously can cover the distance. We just need to get the legs next to him and that top athlete next to him to help him so he can do it in the right areas and focus more on that. No doubt about it. I've seen a lot of comments. There's intensity, things like these are different. You know, I've seen a lot of comments about my not thinking Bruno had a great game. I still don't. I watched it twice. And I watched it again this morning when I made the tactic video. I don't think that Bruno had a good game. I think he had a very, very poor first half. I think that in the second half, he certainly was a lot better, as were almost everybody at United was better in the second half. I don't think he had a great game. He had 2 really, really, really bad turnovers that led to counterattacks for Arsenal. Easily could have been goals where he just turned it over right in the middle. The goal that Arsenal scored, that's to a large degree on him. I covered that this morning and showed exactly why. Dropped his head, wasn't looking at the game, was frustrated, didn't follow his man into the box in Odegaard. Big reason why we conceded in that goal. You don't have to agree with me. Don't care. That's just, it is what it is. I don't really care if people agree or not, you know. He had a very poor first half, especially out of possession. He had a poor first half. His second half was fantastic. So much better, obviously. Was much, much better, but doesn't really change that for me. It's just, these things matter. Those moments of switching off defensively are things that, to the team's credit, over the last couple of games, nobody has done. He did, and it cost us a goal. It was a big part of that. So that's just it. That's great. They can analyze what they want, and they can say what they want. Did they cover the first goal and follow him on it? You know, you can find in any game a ton of great moments from Bruno Fernandez. A ton of great moments from Bruno Fernandez because he's a very, very good player. You know, because he is a very, very good player. In any game that goes on, you can find him. You know, if they mostly cover the second half, what he's doing with the ball, all of that, you're going to find great moments from him because he's a very, very good player who does a lot of great things. But we were really bad for the first 38 minutes, and he was part of that. That's all. He had a bad first half, a much better second half. It's about nuance. I think there was a lot of players who had a better, more consistent game over the course of the whole 90 minutes. That's all. You know, that's all there is to it. But look, all I would recommend is go watch the first goal back, focus on him, and then say, okay, you know, and then decide. And look, you can feel free to disagree with me. I know a lot of people do. I think his first half was actually genuinely bad. Second half was really, really good. But it was like, it's all relative anyway, because United are performing at a better level than we have in a long time right now. And we're winning games. And that was against Arsenal, the best team in the league. I mean, it's kind of a joke that they're the best team in the league when you look at them perform and all of that. But still, so, you know, it's all relative. It's all within the context of it. Doesn't mean I would drop him, but doesn't mean I would take him off of the pitch or something like that. I would probably keep the same team for the next game. But the first 38 minutes was quite poor. Was quite poor. And again, some of the dangerous turnovers and things like that just bother me. That's all. But again, tale of two halves. That's it. You know, I think that's again just about having the nuanced view on it. That's all. I said he was the worst player. I think he was. Who? I think he was. I think he was, because I think it was a pretty much almost flawless game from so many other players. You know what I mean? I think it was an almost flawless game from so many. Like, it can be the worst player on the pitch for us was probably a 6 out of 10 in Bruno, because there was a lot of 7s and 8s. Who I don't know. I think he was. Doesn't mean he was. I probably said he was crap at one point, but I don't think he was crap, especially because the second half was good. But I would stand by that statement. I think we had an almost perfect performance from a bunch of players as well. You know, that's all. It's kind of on that. But yeah, look, to me, if you look at how we're performing against these teams, we're halfway through the season. We're all of this. One of the things that I will never let go of and people don't have to agree with it or not. I do not like when a player head drops and they stop running defensively. I don't like it. I will never accept it. Some of the off-ball stuff that Bruno does these days, at times, to me is not acceptable. You don't have to agree with me, but I think that's just about holding a very, very high standard with the off-the-ball stuff. Like, we have the comparison here, like with Kobbie Mainoo and this front, which is very, very funny, because Kobbie Mainoo spent the whole game running his ass off every second, never gave up on it.
200 likes on Living
I can't
James
say the same for Bruno
like
in that first 38 minutes, and I don't think that that's okay. I think those moments need to be called out and snuffed out of his game, even over the next 15 games of the season, and I think those moments do lead to problems. Yeah, that's right, Lexi. Thank you. 200 likes, and I do the Cunha dance on the stream. But that's, again, it's just about having a nuanced take to things. But it's also like everybody played particularly well overall. Like, on average, people played really, really well. You know, it was a good game. So, a lot of good performers. A lot of good performers in general, overall. So yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. You can see it differently. It's totally fine. Like I said, I watched these games back 2-3 times to look at things and see, all right, did I pick that one up correctly or not? You know, and no, I feel good about that take on it. Although, you know, sometimes I'll say, oh, XYZ was crap in the moments after the game when it's not true necessarily. Hell, I'll even go back and revise something. Because I meant to do this. I meant to go back and revise a statement about City. Diogo Dalot was good in that game. And people gave him such a hard time about that game. Diogo Dalot was good against City. He was good. He made a couple bozo moments when he gave the ball away, but on the whole, Diogo Dalot was really quite good against City. And at the time, we were all pissed off, frustrated, some of the things that he did poorly. But he was so good defensively, covering Doku. A lot of the work that he did, it was integral to the team. And he followed that up against Arsenal with a great performance. You know what I mean? He was actually good, like genuinely good, you know? And he was 70 minutes on a yellow, and he shut it down. Like, we gotta be, you know, it's like sometimes we feel a type of way and we look and maybe it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different, you know. Dalot did really well against Arsenal as well. You know, do I think that means Dalot is a perfect player moving forward? No. But, you know, we gotta be fair about some of the things we see. Addressing issues with the fan favorites, having an agenda, not obsessing over fan enemy paid by INEOS. Yeah. It's a hard time. It's a hard time. But look, here's the funny part about all of this stuff. And Mbumo's starting striker now. He might be, Jimmy. He genuinely might be. I don't know why I didn't read it out, but yeah, he genuinely might be our starting striker at this point in time. It depends how we want to play. I mean, obviously, we're all sitting here going, well, maybe Fulham will learn a little bit more. Maybe Fulham will be a little bit different. And yeah, look, there's a lot of people, you know, all of us really making grandiose statements at the moment about things and drawing conclusions and things like that. You know what I mean? After a couple wins, big wins, great games, wonderful performances, not to be underplayed. We could change our mind in 2 weeks. We could all feel very differently. We've been here before. I hope that's not what happens. I don't think it'll happen, but we could be here. We could be here in a few weeks doing the same old song and dance and coming back and saying, well, we're getting countered, the donut. You never know what could happen, but we can only speak on what we feel right now. Yeah, the defensive transitions. Like I said, there was one moment I saw it and I said, I'm a little scared of that. I'm a little scared of that moment in general. Do I feel, why is it not reading now? Maybe they're under the threshold or something. Do you feel right back might be more priority than center back? No, and I'll tell you the reason why. Well, I guess it depends on the manager, but let's say we're playing for, let's say it's Carrick. Carrick's the coach. His right back slides into the back three. His left back goes marauding forward. We've got better attackers for the left side, and we have better defenders for the right side. So right now, it's probably not a big concern, Mazraoui and Dalot, because they're going to be defenders more than they are going to be attackers. And we kind of have the right balance. If we extend Maguire, could we look to a fullback? Maybe. I just don't think we're going to sell Dalot or Mazraoui. I think that's a problem we'll address next summer, is to really look at the defensive unit and dive into it. Let's talk about Cole Palmer. Let's talk about Mr. Palmer here. It sounds like I'm having an agenda on Bruno by talking about Palmer now, which is funny. I did just want to bring up this one point, okay, on Lamens, because I said after the City game, look, I've heard from people with firsthand knowledge of the situation, and one of the things is that there's too much. Like, sometimes we're doing too much. Carrick is doing an amazing job, and so is Holland, and what they're doing in setting things up. What they're not doing is huge tactical, complicated displays. And I think this is where sometimes people see their ass in the way that they make tons of claims that have no reflection, on the reality or anything like that. Senna Laman said, to be honest, there was not many special things Carrick did. It's just like sticking to the basics. Football's basics. If you do basics well, then the quality of us comes out. And I think we have players with quality that can make the difference. And I said this last week after City, that there's a little bit too much being made of crazy tactical shifts and things. They're not that many. It's a very basic, very straightforward, very simple tactical plan that is working very, very well, and just simply playing into the strengths of the already existing players, where we're doing, we're just making just doing simple football. This 4-4-2 thing that we're setting up, it is simple football that almost every one of our footballers will understand how to play. And that's why, obviously, over the course of the season, we're going to learn a lot more over the next 15 games as we progress forward into the next phase of things. But be wary of anybody claiming gigantic, massive shifts in things, because it's just not that much has actually happened. That's not taking credit away, because it kind of goes to show that it might have just been that simple, and so stupidly simple, that the errors that were being made by the prior manager of being too negative and overcomplicating what should have been made more simple. Sometimes simplicity is the best plan, and that's a credit to the guys for getting that right. And hopefully we see that continue. But we'll see. We'll see against Fulham. We'll see in these games how that all changes. Back to basics. Yeah, back to basics. Exactly. When managers are under pressure, when the results start getting crazy, usually they start trying to overdo it in terms of problem solving, in terms of trying to figure out, what the right answer is and solve the problems, and they end up making it worse and dive into this deep, dark hole that they can never get out of, and as we've seen it. So let's talk about Cole Palmer. So story coming today from Samuel Luckhurst. Hey, let me just tweet that I'm fucking Paul. Oh, and by the way, if you're here, smash a like on the video. Like we said, we're trying to get to people wanted me to get to 200 for something. Subscribe if you're enjoying the video, and also a thank you to members and donations and things like that as well. But smash the like button and subscribe as well. So Luckers is essentially saying Cole Palmer would not entertain a return to Man City, but would welcome interest from Manchester United. He misses his hometown of Wythenshawe and frequently returns to see family and friends, or Wythenshawe. I think I had it almost right. Anyway, there's obviously been a ton of noise around Palmer recently, and you could say obviously there's some stuff kind of coming from his side. We've heard reports sort of all over the place about Cole Palmer. There's some rumor essentially is that if they miss out on Champions League, then then he has a clause that allows it to be triggered at a more realistic price. And then, you've got that, and you've got all sorts of sort of random noise and things like that. And then you have the Chelsea side saying, nah, he's untouchable, no clauses, no things like that. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I really don't know. We've been speaking about this in the last week and saying, like, maybe there's something in it. Maybe there isn't. I feel like there is, and it's probably coming from his side. He also has our good friends, the noisy agents who like to talk a lot in England, CAA base. So there's probably some smoke and fire there. How much would you spend on Palmer? I think the rumored price, if he's available, of 50, 60 million, I would do. I do think he's a really, really good player. Also, of course, familiar to Jason Wilcox, who coached him at City in the youth levels, would be well known by them. I think he's very good. I think he's being stifled a bit at Chelsea. He was so good under Pochettino there. I think Maresca stifled a lot of stuff and was just, I don't know. It's hard to judge at Chelsea. The bigger concern to me is not the quality, is this injury that he has, this sort of recurring issue. Now, at the same time, I have a lot more faith in our medical departments and the people that we have in place than before. We have that new doctor in place, obviously. But this has been an area of huge, massive improvement. So if they looked at Palmer and said, we're not worried about it, I'm not worried about it. I trust them at this point in time. I think that they've given us enough evidence over the last year that they're sorting injuries out. Luke Shaw started 23 straight Premier League games. Mason Mount fit. Lots of players fit. So many players fit. If they were to decide to do it, if they were to decide to sign him, then I wouldn't be worried about it anymore, because I would feel they could make a good assessment of the situation. So there's some talk that this injury issue he has is a similar one that Enzo Fernandez had that ended up being fine later on. And so I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It's not as quality for me. I think he's a perfect, I think he's worth a lot more than 50, 60 for sure. I think talent-wise, he's a really, really good player. I really do. And I think he can make for a perfect number 10 to replace Bruno in the long haul. He's 23 years old. He's a really good, really, really good player. Very talented. If we want a number 10 type of player, he's really in there. I do have some concerns. We were talking about this before, that to me, the ideal midfield might be, I think some of the decisions have to be made here, is to go for more like Anderson, Baleba, Mainoo in terms of matching up profiles and going for a flat 3. And in that place, you're not replacing Bruno with Palmer. You don't get Palmer. You're replacing Bruno with like Anderson. And you're going Baleba, Anderson, Kobbie, Mainoo, and making a good 3 in that zone. We kind of have to make a decision about how we want our midfield to look in the future. How is it going to be built? If we want to build it around Kobbie Mainoo specifically, for example, then I firmly believe we got to ditch in the long haul, ditch the number 10 thing and make Kobbie the more advanced midfielder in a 3, because I think that's his best role. Speaking back to the earlier part of the conversation about having ground coverage and help and things like that, I believe that Kobbie Mainoo is at his best at the most advanced midfielder in a 3. Not necessarily a 10, but the most advanced midfielder in a 3. And that's would be the best way to get out of him. I don't necessarily know that you'll make a Mainoo pure 10 plus Mainoo plus other midfielder ever work to the highest capabilities. I mean, the closest example to that would, I guess, be what Pep did at City with Fernandinho, De Bruyne, and Silva. But the difference is that I think that things like passing rate, it was different balances. I think that the best bet would be going for something like Baleba, Anderson, Mainoo. Could you make it? But they can decide. They got to decide, what does the future of our midfield look like? And if you're going to play with a 10, then you get Palmer. Then if you can get Palmer, you get him. You know, if you can get Palmer, you get him. You know what I mean? If you're gonna play with the number 10, then you get him. You know, because otherwise, I kind of look at it and go, you know, we've got Cunha who can play there, we've got Mount who can play there, we've got Ahmad who can play there. You know, if we're playing, you know, I could see a different midfield setups. It's just, if you want that pure midfielder type number 10, then you're going to go for Cole Palmer because he's the closest thing to Bruno out there. If you're going to get something like that. So yeah, I think that, that's the consideration they've got to figure in terms of going forward. But what do you guys think? The poll says 72% bring Palmer, 21% pass on Palmer. I would bring him. I mean, I would just keep loading this club up with talent. Look at what we've done. Look at the players. Look at the productivity that we've seen. You know, with Mbumo, with Cunha, with just loading up on top talent. Ahmad. I mean, we've done amazing stuff. We've done amazing stuff by just loading up on talent and up front. And you probably could say maybe we're a player short. If Bruno leaves, we definitely need maybe one more. But yeah, he's a United fan, all of that. I don't know. Whether it's real or not, any reality of us getting him is a totally different question. I've got no idea. I've got no idea. In that respect, like I said, there's a lot of mixed signals on this, but of course, there's smoke from his side. You know, wants to come be a part of this team, be a part of this project, come home. I'll take it. You know, I will take it. And I think he's an excellent player, for sure. I think he's an excellent player. So I have no questions over his qualities and things like that. One problem, he needs a new hairstyle. Well, you know, maybe, but sometimes some of the best players have the strangest looks. I mean, look at Luka Modric and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Hello, James. Hello, everyone. I can breathe again. Born in '88, from Ireland, so I hate Arsenal more than any other club. I hear you. I hear you. INEOS have low-key only made errors. Xerxes and Ugarte in recruitment. 2 errors. Yes, and look, I agree, and that was sort of the next thing I wanted to talk about. Is first, you know, I wanted to look at if Palmer. Let's talk about that. Let's wrap this thing up on Palmer real quick, and then I want to get to the next kind of subject. If Palmer isn't coming, Jude would be a good replacement for Bruno. Absolutely no chance, though. And I don't know. Something about Jude Bellingham rubs me the wrong way. Anybody who follows me will know that. I don't know. Sorry. I'm not a big Jude Bellingham guy, and I'm not saying he's not a good footballer, but there's something about Jude Bellingham I just don't believe. I just don't believe in him. I don't believe in him. I don't know what it is. But I just don't believe in him.
Please sign one more forward this summer. Kuhn as a sub was huge. 2009 had Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, Berbatov.
Yes.
Depth matters.
Absolutely. I still think we're maybe one short. Yeah, there's just something about Bellingham. It just bothers me. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't want it. I'm staying away. But yeah, look, I mean, part of, I still think we do miss a left wing profile. Just one straight up left winger in the team. That's probably all we need. And I'd be fine selling Xerxes and not replacing Xerxes in terms of a striker, because we got Mbumo, we got Cunha, we got guys who can play there. But I do think we're missing a left, like just a straight up left wing profile. Maybe that could be, maybe Dorgu gets there, but I still think even then I feel like we need a left wing profile for sure. But yeah, there's just, Jude is not for me. It's not for me. But yeah, we need to do things the right way. We did used to like Yildiz and Nico Williams are players we followed, but I'm not sure that they're still on our on our radar. I'm not sure they're still on register. Nusa is an interesting one because we followed him years ago. Years ago, we've been following. We know the player, and we haven't, and we should have. It's an interesting one. If we come back in for him as a winger, he's been on the club's radar for a long while. They have known well before INEOS. So obviously, it's whether the new guys look at that data that was there and say, yeah, he's still a good player.
How sick was that squad, James? Berbatov being your fourth forward option.
Absolutely insane.
And we still had Giggs/Scholes.
Insane.
So lol.
Insane. It was the talent level at that was close. Like was just unbelievable. And you look now and you go, all right, well, fair enough. You know, if we've got like Mbumo, Cunha, Ahmad that can be around these levels, but like, yeah, just one more. That's all I feel like. One more. That's all I feel like. And the other thing I want to say about Dorgu is that I think he should be a left back in the long term. I think he should be a left back in the long term. I'm not saying he doesn't have the qualities to attack and go forward, but what I'm saying is that when we need to be a more attacking, possession dominant team, I think we will need his physicality in this side, his pace, is all of that at left back, and ideally have someone in front of him as a winger, as a forward, because we're gonna need that attacking, marauding fullback, and I think that Dorgu fits that perfectly, you know, with his qualities as well, and he's a good defender, and he can get back and he can do a lot. So I think it would be. I still think left back is his future in like a lot of games. In a lot of games, I still think it's his future. Carrick answered a question on that, said he's both. So I think we will see him at left back this season. And so we'll still be kind of lacking that left wing profile. I'm a little wary of Morgan Rogers, not because he isn't fantastic. But it's that he could be like the Cunha Bumo, ready to make a jump, but I also think he's still too similar to Cunha. I don't think he's different. I think he's the same player, essentially, in a lot of respects. How much would Njai cost? I genuinely have no idea. I genuinely have no idea. Rogers or Palmer? It just depends. I would say Palmer for me. Just because I think Cunha is already doing what Rogers would do. Not because Rogers isn't very good, but I think Cunha's already doing it. It feels kind of pointless to me. I'm not saying, by the way, that Palmer would be 50 to 60 million. Someone was asking how much I could pay him. How much I would pay. I was saying I'll certainly pay at least that much. The rumor about this supposed clause that I cannot say whether it is or it isn't, I don't know, is somewhere in the 60 something range if they miss Champions League or something like that. So yeah, hold on one second, guys, and then I want to discuss something else. Just give me like 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Anyway, where were we? So yeah, we'll just see. Look, these are interesting players, and we'll see how it works out in the end. But somebody was mentioning about INEOS and recruitment, and so I wanted to bring up something, which was this right here. Okay, and again, this is where I go. Look, if you want, whatever I've gotten, whatever I've gotten over the top, wrong, etc. on Ruben Amram, I will say this: he left the club in a much better state than he found it. Whether that's he's responsible for it or not doesn't matter to me. Ten Hag tried to ruin this club, and when people ask me why did you so hard on Ten Hag and blah, because of shit like this. Okay. When Ten Hag was Manchester United manager, he had a heated exchange with goalkeeping scout Tony Cotton over signing Andre Onana. Ten Hag wanted Cotton's opinion on the Cameroon goalkeeper, but Cotton felt his view didn't matter since the club was signing Onana anyway. And then we had the whole thing about this year about Emi Martinez and Senna Lamens, and the difference is that we went ahead and got Lamens. And obviously, at the end of this, the difference is that, one was vetoing signings and doing all of this shit. Ten Hag put this club through fucking hell in terms of building a squad and built one of the worst teams imaginable and drove this club into near financial insolvency. And that's the reality of it. Forcing signings on the club, and obviously the management being responsible for and allowing it to happen, because this is exactly what the club shouldn't have been doing.
Respect for admitting you were wrong, Amram and his treatment of Kobbie on UV. Not many on here admit when they are wrong. Credit to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. This is, thank you for that. This is what people don't, this is the worst possible thing we can't do, in general, is we've got to listen to these people, these football people that are appointed, and utilize their expertise, because that's why they're there. And this is what INEOS are getting right. This isn't about Amram. This is what INEOS are getting right. And then we have to give them credit for. I was thinking about this now and saying, good Lord, man. Look at our last signings. Lamens, Cunha, Mbumo, Sheshko, Heaven, Dorgu. Hit after hit after hit after hit after hit after hit, man. It is insanely promising. Their first summer wasn't terrible, but you also have to bear in mind they weren't in situ yet. Vivel only arrived later, Omar later, Wilcox was only there for 2 months. They didn't have all this time, and it is just all hits, no misses. It is the best transfer record of any club in England over the last 12 months, factually. 6 out of 6. It is banger after banger after banger. It just is. Who's got better? Who's got a better success rate for dollars spent in terms of return and things like that? And so you got to give them a hell of a lot of credit for doing stuff like this, for fixing this, for not, screwing things up even worse, by diving deep. So like you take the Amram situation, they had some doubts. What did they do? They stuck by the club policy. We want these players. We're going to get our guys. We're going to get this. We're going to get that. Good enough. And it worked out correctly, and they did it. And I'm not saying, look, it was in combination, and a lot of the discussions were all there together, but they did a damn good job about doing this, and they do deserve a lot of credit. And it's really interesting because when you look at things overall, in terms of this little turn that we've been on, it's a hell of a lot of progress has been made by INEOS. A hell of a lot. It just has. There has been so much progress made by them that I feel is, and I'm going to do a whole video on this because you know me. I can't help myself to drive up hate on myself or whatever. I just can't help it. But it's because I believe the things that I say, and I believe this fully when I look at it and I go, these guys know what they're doing. INEOS have nailed it. They've recruited well for the academy. They've recruited well for the senior level. They've fixed Carrington. The medical stuff is improved. The finances are improved. The fitness is improved. So everything is better than it was before. And that's why I'm like, all right, I've got confidence that whatever decisions they make next, they're probably going to get it right. They're probably going to get it right. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't they get it right? Because they've earned a hell of a lot more trust than, we've ever had. And I look at it and sometimes I go, look, I'm kind of reframing it interestingly because, it's just weird. What I don't understand, what I guess is weird is that they're clearly getting so many things right, but you still have this perception that that things have been made worse. And I never believed that. For briefly, I was like, with Amram, and when he left briefly, when it looked like there was no plan and all of that, until I got more information, I was like, this is a mess. This looks like chaos. It looks like a huge waste of time. But now I look at it and I go, they told me, the person I spoke with, that they had, that they went out to do the right things, to find the right people, to get the right coaches, to keep the season going. And they did it. And so far, it looks great. I mean, I've seen enough to know we're not going to be bad. It's not going to be a wasted season. We have a serious shot at continuing to get into Champions League. And whatever they do next, they'll probably get it right. The signings are good. Like, isn't like, what is actually, and I'm curious to get people's thoughts on this. And you guys follow me, so maybe you won't see it differently to me. If you step back objectively, is everything not better than when they came in? If you look at where they took over from, is pretty much everything not better than it was when they came in? And I'm not saying every decision hasn't been great. There's been lots of chaos. There's been lots of problems. There's been lots of things along the way. But I remember saying a few months ago when it's, this thing about like, look, there's always chaos when you're coming and fixing something that's totally busted. And sometimes that chaos is just a sign to keep going. And and you just have to just keep going. But I look at it and I go, really, like we were in the dumps a couple weeks ago and it looked bad. But really, right now, step back for a moment. What isn't better than it was before? Doesn't mean they haven't made mistakes, right? Because, maybe if they hadn't messed up keeping Ten Hag, if they hadn't messed up the way that they went about it, what isn't better? Pretty much everything is better. Right? I mean, I think that's just the fact of the situation. It is linear up progress. It is a linear progress in practically everywhere. I mean, it comes down to stupid shit like today, Mike Keegan releasing a story from the Daily Mail that, we fixed the kitchens at Old Trafford, right? Because you had this whole story about rats in the kitchen and downgraded hygiene rating and raw chicken and shit. And it's like, it's stupid stuff, but like, it's fixed. Carrington, it's fixed. Medical team, it's fixed. Fitness, it's fixed. Recruitment, we're listening to the right people. The culture in the team is better. The squad is better. There's a hell of a lot of progress in it. We went from losing 130 million to 30 million to turning small profits. What is actually not better? It is actually a really, really good 18-month progress in that respect. Overall, again, it's not to say that everything's been perfect because I think they've made mistakes. But again, it's really all about where you take over from. And this is the discussion with all managers and things like that. Like what Carrick is doing now, he didn't take over the team that Ten Hag left. He didn't take over the team that Ten Hag left. He took over this team, which is a hell of a lot better than the team that Ten Hag left. Ten Hag, took over from Solskjaer, and it was a better team that he made worse over the course of many, many years. And it's the same with the owners. The situation they came into when they came in was way worse than where we are now. Way, way worse than we are now. Doesn't mean we're all the way back up to there. And ultimately, the job is to get us back to winning titles. And until we're winning titles, who knows? You know what I mean? Until we're winning titles, it's like, you can't call it a success. Because that's the idea, right? That's the end result. That's the end goal we're all going for. And anything less than that will be a failure. But in the end, it'll be a failure. But in the present, we are seeing the progress moving forward. And I think it's really the fact that this recruitment, what really churned it for me is looking at the recruitment and going, and having to deal with this manager situation mid-season when they didn't want to sack the manager, and still finally getting it right, getting a good solution, and having the season not be wasted. A few of the recent things kind of prove, okay, maybe these guys are a bit competent because they've dealt with some messy things and sorted it out. What did we hit 200? It still says 199 on my screen, so it still says 190. I'm not joking. It says 199. I'm looking at it. It maybe needs to update. Maybe one more and it'll go. The Cunha dance. What? All right, there we go. It hit 200, so we got to do it, right? We got to do it. Oh, wait, what is he? Hold on, I'm trying to get it because I'm mirrored, so I can't see it. Yeah, there you go. There you go. The Cunha dance. There it is. I'm trying to get my whole body in the frame. It's a little hard. We had the Mbumo one on the watch along. We did the Mbumo one a while back. It's hard to get your whole body in the frame. Hard to get your whole body in the frame. And I have absolutely no rhythm, but there you go. Oh, it just jumped to 210 just like that. There you go. I'm not sure which one I prefer. Is it Cunha or Mbumo? Which one is your favorite in terms of the dance? Which one is your favorite? Now that we're winning again, we'll do them in the watch-alongs are where the dances will happen. Now that we're winning again. The good times are coming back. It's the fucking biggest. Really helping. I am the white guy stereotype. Okay. I can't snowboard though. I've never been surfing, but I can snowboard. I'm good at that, which is also not helping the white guy stereotype, but still. Yeah, the Mbumo and Ahmad Homer Simpson one I think is my favorite for sure. I think that's my favorite. Good times. But anyway, there we are. Let's see whatever other dance they come up with. I promise you this. But I make you guys a deal, okay? Every time we win a game and they do a new dance, I'll do it the next day. I'll attempt it the next day, okay? Hold me to that promise, okay? Every time we win a game and they do a new dance, a new celebration, I'll do it for you. I'll do it on stream the next day. I'll do it during the watch-alongs too, but I'll do it on stream the next day. Just for fun. Just to embarrass myself. Like I haven't done enough of that. Good job, Link. Yeah, Link. See, it's a very good thing that Lingard isn't here because he's doing dances I would have to like take classes on. He's doing dances and things I'm gonna have to take classes on. These are very simple stuff. Simple sambas and things like that. But I don't know how to milli rock. Okay, I gotta take a class. I can't moonwalk. I can't milli rock. I can't do any of that stuff. So thank goodness Jesse Lingard isn't here anymore. Let's hope we keep dancing. Let's hope we keep dancing. The moonwalk would be fun. I cannot do it. Watch the beginning, Jem. Watch the beginning. Watch like the first 15 minutes of the video. But yeah, there you have it. Thank God, Nani. I can't do a backflip either. I cannot do a backflip. Yeah. We're gonna have to put some limitations on this before I end up in the hospital. What goes on in members only? A lot. No. Anyway, can you do? I don't know that one. This I want to give credit to MPDG and Patreon for putting this together. He's been doing this like every week. This comparison. This is our comparison to last year, by the way, in fixture by fixture. So look at this run. So green on the right is this year. Gray means the same. Oh, I see. No, you're right. So gray is a draw, green is a win, right? So you can kind of compare it to last year. So better, Arsenal better, City better, Burnley same, Leeds worse, Wolves better, Newcastle better, Villa worse. Like we're up, and then he's got a graph here. We're up overall. If you look at the blue over last season, I think the X is probably where Amram left. We're up a lot. Cumulatively, fixture by fixture, we're already up 12, 14 points, something like that. We're nearing last year's total. So this is what, to me, this is what I'm saying. This is what progress looks like. You know what I mean? This is what progress looks like. Even though it's been a bit up and down at times, look at this is what progress looks like. Last year was so bad, obviously, but this is clear progress over last season. After again a slowish start, we've just been getting better and better as the season goes on, and obviously these last two are a huge lift, and hopefully we can keep that going. But it's exciting times. Another crazy stat I was showing is that this is since Senna Lamens came in. Okay, Brentford was the last game, 3-1. Look at this. 2 losses. I posted this. We have the joint fewest losses in the entire Premier League since Senna Lamens has come into this club. So again, speaking about the recruitment, listening to the right guys, look at what happens, man. Second joint fewest losses in the entire Premier League since Lamens has come in. And look at the XGA too. Second best defense in the entire league by the numbers, not by goals conceded. We've been getting a little unlucky there. But if you actually look at the chances conceded, we have conceded the second fewest chances in the entire Premier League since Senna Lamens has come in, while we've had the 4th best chances created. And in terms of expected goal difference, we've been the 2nd best team in the league based on that since Lamens has come in. Obviously now starting to turn those into some points is the good part about it. You know, on points, 4th. Well, we're 4th in the table. Crazy that Aston Villa are 1st in the points table since then. But, you know, it just speaks to the idea of listening to the right people, doing the right things, following the plan, sticking to the plan. You know, I think Lamens was huge. I say Onana, but yeah, look, I think Lamens was huge. Could you imagine if we had a competent keeper last season, even in the shit that it was, how many times Onana cost us last year? How many times? You know, how many times did they cost us last year and the year before and the year before? You know, how many times did they cost us in the first 4 or 5 games of the season? Ooh, Everton goal. Barry scores. How many times? You know, opening day against Arsenal cost us. Right off the bat. You know, if that was Onana or Bayindir in goal, we lose that game yesterday. There was a save in like the first 10 minutes, maybe 15. Cross comes in, deflects, and Lamens just gets it. Good, quick little thing. He's just in the right position. Some of the crosses and claims, I know we even still conceded off a set piece, but some of the claims, some of the punches, things like that, we probably would have conceded 3 goals off of corners. there. So, just crazy stuff. Made a huge difference. And it's like, and with Lammens, what's so impressive, exactly that, Samix, is that it's a name that, Cunha and Bumo, you could say, all right, fair enough, right? But Lammens takes serious data gathering, data scouting, all that. And same with Dorgu, for what it's worth. You know what I mean? It's like, these are the guys. And they've done a good job. And I think that that Lammens is such a good example of that and how he's changed us since coming in. But man, the what we've been dealing with in the keepers is crazy. I think about it now. And I genuinely think Onana was our worst ever signing. I know that sounds crazy to say, but as time goes on, I think he was our worst ever signing. You look at like the Champions League run that he cost us, the Europa League final. Like, I'm not even saying he was like the worst in every game, because he actually had good games as a keeper. But with a keeper, it's sort of like, off the bar for Everton. With a keeper, it's sort of like their mistakes can kill you. He cost us Champions League runs. He cost us Europe games. He cost us the Europa final. He had a big part in. You know what I mean? Like, the amount, like, I'm not saying he's the worst player we signed. I'm not saying he's the worst player we signed for the money. But a keeper can be so destructive. You know what I'm saying? Can be so damaging, to the team. And I'm not sure that anybody has done as much damage to the team and results as he did. When you look at the games that he cost us and the big moments that hurt us. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I'm saying that. Like, it sounds harsh because he's not the worst player. He actually had a decent league campaign in that first season. But think about Grimsby. Think about Grimsby this year. The only game he managed, he was in net for us. Think about Grimsby this year. Grimsby. We wouldn't, as shit as everything was. This isn't about the manager. This isn't, disclaimer, not about the manager. As shit as everything was, if it was Onana, if it was anyone else in net, we wouldn't have lost to Grimsby. We wouldn't have conceded those goals. They were truly horrifying. We got knocked out of Grimsby on that basis. Like, they were just truly horrifying. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's crazy to think about, because it's just crazy with keepers, man. Because like I said, I actually think he had a quite a good campaign in the Premier League his first season, but man, he cost us so many things in cups and tournaments and things like that. It's just wild. It's just wild. It's just crazy. But not the worst in terms of cost per money, things like that, because there's Sancho and things like that, understandably. But yeah, just in terms of damage, like the amount of damage done. Yeah, the Champions League. Like, again, we got knocked out of Champions League, lost the Europa final, lost against Grimsby. You could pin almost all of that down to one guy in his performances. Then it was a disaster. And I think it was even worse for a lot of us, right? Because coming from years of where De Gea, years of having great keepers at United, legends of keepers at United. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've had really good keepers at United. De Gea had an insane season and then starts to fall off, and we replace him, and it was like disaster struck when it was supposed to bring us into the modern age of passing and things like that. If Senna Lammens had followed De Gea, we'd probably be feeling great. But like, somehow we replaced a very declining De Gea, and it got worse. Genuinely worse. And that was, wow. What a shocker. What a shocker that was. We screwed that up. But that's why you listen to your people. That's why you listen to your people. You hire them, you listen to them, and you live and die by that. And I think that's what we're doing. I think that's what we're doing. So, yeah. But that's the point. With outfield players, you don't have to play. And that's why I'm saying damage. He's not the worst player we've signed. But, like, you know, it's like you had to, because you can't bench him. You know, that's the issue. It's such a crazy, it's just such a crazy situation to be in. You know what I mean? That's all. So, I'm going to make a video tomorrow on what we've seen over the last year, over the last 18 months, why I genuinely think INEOS are cooking. And I realized just now as I'm saying that there's a protest at the Fulham game. So I'll probably get a lot of accusations about timing that video for INEOS PR, but it was more a matter of I'm just really impressed with how they handled this situation. And I was just looking back at it at the recruitment the other day, last night, and I was thinking, damn, they've really got it spot on with a lot of this stuff, and looking at how they addressed this whole situation in the end. And had a conversation with somebody, and I was just like, But oh well. Look, the reality is that on that front, you know, to me, it's like at the end of the day, there's still this reality, right? Which is that it's still an issue, the ownership model at present. And I think, of course, that obviously fans should definitely protest and things, but like that is still an issue. Something still needs to be done about that. It's still obviously, you know, you've got the Glazers in there with them, taken a lot of money out of this club and done a lot of damage. And obviously people want justice for all of that. And that's all totally clear. And of course we need something still to change in the future, because I don't know that the status quo like this can exist forever, you know, in terms of everything. We still have we still need to get the stadium going and all that kind of stuff. So, and we need to see some ownership changes there. So I'll probably preface some of it with that, but the reality is that there's a lot of good things that are being done in general. And most importantly now, I think that is obviously going to be what happens next, you know, getting the right manager call in the long term and taking us all the way for a title. But I'll have a video on a lot of stuff there tomorrow. Yeah, that's it. Otherwise, check out the tactics video from this morning. If you disagree with me on things, on Bruno, on whatnot, it's all good, man. That's the difference between me and some other people. If you disagree with me on an opinion, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, check the tactics video out and see what conclusions you reach and what you think about it. I appreciate if you would do that. The podcast with Phil was really nice, really good conversation overall, very good. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with with that video that I'm going to make, as well as another live in the afternoon. We'll see what I come with later in the week. I think after the January window's over, even though it's basically over for us. So probably next week, I'll do a like an updated summer. This is what we're gonna go for video and all of that I did before the January window, even though it wasn't really about January, it's just in general. But we'll do an updated one since things have changed. Okay. Appreciate you all. Don't forget my promise about the dances and things like that. I mean this. I'm a man of my word. I will stick to it. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for all the donations, the memberships, the subscriptions, the things like that. For those of you, again, there is a video. If you ever do, again, if you really want to know, you know, why my perspective has changed on certain things and all of that, I've talked about it a ton on lives and things like that, but I summarized it all in that members video and spoke about a few other things there. So we'll see. Okay. So join the membership and you can watch that. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will catch you all tomorrow. Have a good evening, everybody. Good night.